Carl here from Games, Brains and Head-Banging Life with another episode of The Dead Pit, and it is my pleasure to be sitting here talking with Brazen Bull. Now, guys, introduce yourselves, because there's a lot of you.
Who wants to start?
Yeah, anyone take it.
Start us.
I'll go first.
You guys hear me?
My name's...
Alex.
Oh, wait. Okay. Yeah, all right, my name's Luke, and I play bass in the band.
I'm Hayden, and I play guitar.
What up?
Sorry. What up, Alex? I'm the front man.
I'm Jordan. I hit things, otherwise known as the drummer.
And I'm Charlie, and I'm the other guitarist.
That's it. There's the band overall. And then starting with you, Charlie. I'll start calling it your names to make this a bit easier. First thing first, man, how have you been holding up over the last 12 months? Obviously, you guys are in the UK as well. We ain't been doing spectacular. But you personally, how have you been holding up?
Yeah, it's been mainly all right. I mean, I went to uni at the start of September. Hasn't really been like the full thing, with all like the clubs and stuff being shut down here. But yeah, it's been all right. Most of it's been online, but yeah, that's been going well. So apart from that, not much really, because I was working through the first lockdown. But yeah, nothing really.
Where you going uni?
Waterbear in Brighton. It's a music uni, yeah.
Yeah, of course. What are you studying?
Just overall musicianship, but sort of like focusing on guitar production, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I've heard great things about that place, man. It's
oh, nice.
Totally banging.
Oh, cheers.
Yeah, cool. What about yourself then, Jordan? How have you been holding up, man?
Just been enjoying the time off, to be honest with you. I finished college actually as soon as the pandemic began, so I kind of cut the second year of my 2-year course short, but I still managed to get all the work done, and I've just been seeing how everything flows, really. Not really done much, just been looking forward to getting back with the guys and playing music, really.
Yeah, there's not really much else you can actually do. That's the thing, out of your hands.
Yeah, no, by any means. I've literally just been tapping anything with the old sticks until I can get behind the kit again. That's what I've been doing, really.
You and everyone else, man. What about yourself then, Alex? How about you? How you been holding up?
I'm all right, man. Just kind of working, to be honest. I was on furlough for like the beginning of this whole pandemic, which was pretty nice, going for more walks, that sort of stuff. But yeah, video games. Nothing much, really. Yeah.
You're not on furlough anymore?
No, I'm working. Been working since September.
Yeah.
Like beginning of September, which is nice. But I kind of like being at home playing video games too, going for walks.
I was about to ask, as a person who I worked throughout the entire pandemic, and even up to this point. So when people went on furlough, and you'd get those complaints of people saying they were getting bored and stuff like that, and for those of us that weren't on furlough, it was a bit like, come on, guys, you are still getting to chill out at home.
I wasn't bored. I wasn't bored at all. I did a lot of like DIY stuff around my house, so it kind of kept me busy a bit.
Are you any good at it though? That's a big question.
I'm learning. It's a learning opportunity. I did a lot of painting, so.
Cool. When you say painting, do you mean walls, or are you an artist?
Not an artist. That's for my wife, but I was just doing like walls and garden fences, that sort of stuff.
It's an art form. It's there.
Yeah.
What about yourself, Hayden?
Well, really, it's been kind of a mix between Jordan and Alex. I currently out of work, and I finished my last year of college as soon as the pandemic began. So it's been it was already a hard transition period going from education to employment, but this has kind of made it one massive long mess, to be honest. Currently not working at all and just doing nothing really, but not bored, at least.
It's good that you're not bored. Have you been job searching? Are you looking around, that kind of thing?
It's just really because of my current living situation and having been in the process of learning to drive, but not being able to take any more lessons at the moment or do any tests, it's really limited the search. So, yeah.
As long as you're positive, dude, that's good enough. Luke and yourself, last one.
Pretty much most of the first lockdown was just playing Call of Duty. Like, just literally played that for months on end, then kind of got a job in the summer, and then in September I went to university, and it's just been constant work since then.
Oh wow, so you've been really keeping busy.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, which Call of Duty?
So I'm at Warwick University studying physics. Yeah. Oh, Call of Duty. I thought you said college or uni.
No,
that makes me feel so stupid now. No, and the first time it was Warzone, but now it's Cold War.
Okay, so you're up to date with that stuff then.
Yeah.
I still play Warzone. I mean, I switch between both, but yeah.
That was just Luke's way of letting you know he does physics.
Had to get in there somewhere.
I just assumed because like you asked Charlie, I thought that's what it's going to be, but no. All right.
Well, now you've mentioned it. What made you choose physics? Where does that interest come from?
I kind of just like watch documentaries now and then with my dad, and it's kind of like at school I was kind of good at it, and I mean I thought, you know what, I could try and pull off a Brrraaains A, but we'll have to see how that goes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess I could ask them, what would be the long-term plan of that? Like, what would be the job? I'm not up on the physics side of things. What kind of job would you be looking to get after that?
I don't know. I mean, ideally, I would like to be a musician, but
yeah, I was about to say, provided the whole rockstar thing doesn't take off and you become a million selling.
Rockstar doesn't go.
Yeah.
I don't know actually, because like you can go to like many different areas, but I really like Formula One, so I might try and go down that route.
Oh shit! Yeah, wow. Of course, that's so heavily part of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. All right, guys, we'll go back around the room then, and it's basically about positivity. Because talking to everyone, giving you answers here and saying how you've been holding up, you've all come across like it's been pretty positive for the most part. So, starting with you, Charlie, how have you been able to keep in a positive mindset? And also, any advice for those who maybe do struggle at this time, particularly when we're at that light at the end of the tunnel period that we seem to maybe be in now? Any advice that you could possibly, I don't know, give over that you could share?
I mean, it's just kind of like, I think a lot of the way that I stayed was just like distracting myself. So like stuff like writing, music, books, video games, and stuff like that. That was big help. Just being able to, I don't know, just always looking forward, trying not to mull on any like setbacks or something like that. I should probably take this advice myself, but I don't. But I'm better at giving advice. But yeah, just sort of like not mulling on like all the little things, just kind of just looking forward, just thinking, you know, like in 3 months time it ain't gonna be like this. Just kind of just looking like that, really, I think.
We can hope. We can hope. With yourself, Jordan.
I've literally just been trying to distract myself with music, whether it be listening to it, being inspired by it, trying different drumming techniques, just listening to as many players and musical legends as I could really do to try and change up my style and really get my own sort of playing style. And I hope it's gonna show when we go back into the rehearsal room. Hopefully it will. That's what's pretty much been keeping me positive over the past couple of months, however long it's been. Feels like years.
Yeah. I mean, I was gonna then follow that up by asking you, like, how are you able to judge when you're just trying to train yourself to drum at home and you've not really got the rest of the band to bounce off? How are you able to kind of go, okay, I think I've learned this technique or I've improved here and so on? Or is it just a matter of waiting to see what everyone else thinks?
Well, at the moment I'm not at my normal home, but at home I have a fully fledged electric kit. So it's let's say if I hear something on, say, a song, I think, oh, that sounds kind of interesting. I'll then go on the kit and then try to recreate it the best I can. And then just keep on working at that and see if I can hopefully work into either a live version of one of our songs or perhaps a new one that perhaps Charlie sent over or something like that. Just trying to really improve myself and up my game, really, because of course there's always room for improvement, especially when you're a musician.
Yeah, in theory, you never stop learning.
Very true. Very true.
Alex, positivity, man. How you been holding it?
I'm pretty good actually. Like I said, I enjoyed the lockdown. I'm a prior serviceman. I'm a veteran, so I kind of already embraced the suck. I guess is a good advice for everybody. Just take it, go with it, take it day by day, and go for walks. I say go for walks a lot. I live near like Thetford Forest, so and just go take a short drive, go take a walk with the wife, and yeah, and like the other guy said, keep yourself distracted. Yeah,
Yeah,
but embrace the suck. That's the biggest thing. Embrace the suck.
Hayden.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been one or two hobbies which just been keeping me going, and it's really very important to try and keep something which makes you get up in the morning. When you lose that reason to get up, it's just so easy for the day to just fall apart and roll into the next one and the next one, and you really lose your ambition and your motivation that way.
Routines. People say, right, that routines are super important, even if you're not doing anything at home.
Yeah, I agree.
And finally, Luke.
Yeah, just keeping yourself busy. Like I said earlier, like played loads of Call of Duty, so I was like be able to talk to my friends. Whereas like some people who don't do gaming, like they rarely spoke to people. Whereas like I was constantly talking to people every day, and because obviously like with COD you're just grinding and you're trying to get to like an ability where you can get like a couple of wins a day and stuff like that. So that's all we were doing.
I think the overarching message coming across from all of you guys is basically keep busy, have some form of hobby, and keep busy. If you've got something to work on, be it music, painting, writing, crack on basically as much as possible.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'd definitely say.
So then, first nomination, guys. Considering there's 5 of you, I presume you're all going to take 1 each. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So literally anything you want from the worlds of video games, horror movies, and heavy metal and rock. Those 3 categories, because they are the 3 main categories we cover on the website and channel. Something that grinds your gears, something you'd happily see the back of. We will be inserting zombie noises into the video at the certain point when you need it. So who wants to take nomination 1?
I guess I will.
Yeah, don't all rush.
So what was it again? Something that we would like to change?
Yeah, well, something you'd like to get rid of, effectively. Something that grinds your gears, has always bugged you, and you just want to kind of see the back of.
So with video games, I'd say unfinished games.
Okay, the regular thing these days,
Yeah,
right?
it is so annoying. It's like I got Cyberpunk when it came out,
Of course.
so we'll use that as the example. And man, what a disappointment! Like I have a friend who has it on the PS4 as well, and he liked it. But what gets me is just the frame rates, and I'll let some of like the funny stuff go because it is pretty funny.
Yeah.
But what gets me is like the frame rates and just how unfinished it feels. So
What system did you play it on?
I have it on PS4.
Okay, all right, okay. So like the whole unfinished game thing is pretty much the standard these days. It seems to be like, punch it out and then you'll patch it later.
Yeah, I don't like that.
What about in, say, for example, something like the Final Fantasy VII Remake? Well, not unfinished. Obviously, it was split up and it's only one part of a game. How does that sit with you?
Well, I actually love that one.
Yeah?
Because I haven't played a JRPG in a long time, so I really enjoyed playing that. The way that they split it up, I guess, I'm okay with that because they're adding more stuff to it than what was originally in it. So basically what the creators said is that they had like a huge vision with the original one, but they couldn't put all of it in it. So now they're putting all of it in it. So I'm okay with that. What I mean is just like buggy games, that kind of stuff, like texture clipping, that kind of stuff that just breaks a game.
Well, there's no better example, as you said, as of right now than Cyberpunk, one of the most, hyped games for a few years. The hype surrounding it almost seemed inevitable that it couldn't live up to it. And I guess, yeah, even with if you don't take the bugs into account, it's a shame that that's probably going to be its legacy, because by say a couple of years down the line, it's been patched to perfection.
Mhm.
It's damage is done, right?
Like a No Man's Sky
Yeah,
kind
it's a
of
bit like
situation.
No Man's Sky.
Of course.
But honestly, the biggest problem with me is just the frame rates. It just feels like sluggish. That's it.
Thankfully, it was not a game I was particularly interested in. And then when it did come out and everyone was slamming it,
I let a friend talk me into the hype because
ah,
he's a huge CD Projekt Red fan, and I did play The Witcher 3. So yeah, I fell into it. That's my fault.
No, it's a great start. It's a great nomination. 100% agree with you on it. We'll see what the rest of you have in a bit. Right, so guys, let's go back to the start. Now, choose whoever wants to really answer this, or you can all have your own input in it. But basically, you got started in 2018, but your lineup was solidified in 2020. The question is, what prompted the creation of Brazen Bull and the early development of the band? How did that come about? So, who wants to take that one?
Charlie?
Yeah, sure. So basically, myself and Luke, because we went to high school together, so we just, when we were in GCSEs and towards the end of that, we were just like, hey, should we just do a band together or something? Because we'd been in like different sort of, I'd say bands, they weren't really bands, we were just kids.
School stuff.
Yeah. But then we're like, oh, should we just do something serious? Because we had similar music tastes and stuff. So then in like 2018, I went to a college audition. That's where I met Jordan. And then we just all kind of like got in a room one day in June, and then we just went through, like, oh, yeah, let's do this. Like, this is like kind of good stuff. From there, like, we went through different sound changes and like different lineups and stuff like that until we got Hayden and we got Alex in, and now we are who we are today.
All right, fellas, the guys that joined a bit later on then, what interested you about joining Brazen Bull? Was it simply a matter of, oh, this would be fun, I get to play in a band? Or was there something specific you saw and thought, yeah, this could be quite special for you?
Well,
sorry,
after you.
for it, sorry. For me, it was, I liked what I was hearing because I was already in a band prior. And it's kind of hard where we're at to find like metal bands, I guess, that aren't like more towards like the deathcore kind of stuff, which is fine. I like that stuff, but I guess I just wanted something different, and that's what these guys were doing. So I thought about it, and then I just auditioned.
Okay. What about you?
Right. Well, previously I'd been a founding member of, it's either 2 or 3 bands, I can't remember now, and yeah, 3 bands, and it was just, it's hard to start a band. It's all that groundwork and the foundations, getting the connections and everything for all the gigs and everything, and finding your sound. It's difficult, and really I didn't have it in me. So when these guys, an already founded band, just asked me to join, and I was just really happy because, you know, it's fun music, and I wanted to have fun, and I have. That's pretty much it. And you know, it's got potential. It really has, more than anything I've felt as I've been in before. And yeah.
Well, as you said, Alex, you're a little bit of an anomaly. I can't that word. Anomaly in the scene, the local scene that we have here. Is that kind of what is that going to be a kind of calling card? What you kind of going to bank Brazen Bull on, and the fact that, as you say, there's so much deathcore, death metal, more aggressive side, grind and stuff like that floating around, that your style might make you stand out more on certain bills and things like that.
Yeah, I think it would. I mean, there's the new wave of British heavy metal that's kind of having a resurgence.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I definitely think it would. I don't want to say people would get fatigued by the other style of music, because like I said, I love that kind of shit. But yeah, I guess in a way, like when I first discovered these guys, it was kind of like a breath of fresh air, something different. something that you can have fun to.
No, that's
Oh.
fair. That's fair. And going back to the earlier group, Charlie, Jordan, Luke. When you were trying to find your sound, then what was the experimentation like? Was it simply a matter of, okay, this is what we all like, inspiration-wise, and how did you develop into what you are now?
So myself and Charlie, like Charlie had a couple of songs written already, and then when we had Jordan in the session, we kind of just practiced with those a bit, kind of did a bit experimenting, because like I think one of our biggest influences is Iron Maiden, so we played like a couple of Iron Maiden covers. I mean, I remember there would be times where Charlie would just start playing an Iron Maiden song out of nowhere, and then Jordan would automatically come in it knowing the drums, and I'm just sat there like, I haven't learned the song, and then so it's kind of always been like we would just jam, and then stuff would be created. Like there'll be times where Jordan would go out with like the previous singer and go and get like a McDonald's or something like that, and me and Charlie would jam, and then we'll write a song within like 20 minutes, and then that grew, and then yeah, that's kind of how we jammed before. And then like when we got Hayden on, that's when we started experimenting with like a second guitarist, and then it just kind of evolved over time, and now it is what it is now.
And that whole songwriting process, so how does that work now with all of you? Is that everyone have an input? Do you float an idea around and everyone just throws their 2 cents in? And when it comes to doing that, how do you then filter out what exactly you need?
I think mostly like our songwriting process now is like, especially because we're like can't see each other and that, because like, a lot of it relies on just being in a room together and us just like bouncing off each other. But most of the time it's like either like, you know, one of us will send a riff or an idea like over like a Google Drive thing, and it was like, oh, like idea, and then just like people work on that and take it from there really.
Are you democracy? Are you very democratic?
We are, yeah, usually. I think a lot of our there were a couple songs off the album that we had votes on. Like literally, it was like the Saturday before we went in the studio, and we were having votes on like putting different parts in the songs.
Okay, if it works, you've got to get there eventually, and the most simple way is often just to put your hand up and say, okay, who's got the majority? There you go. All right, guys, second nomination then. One of the remaining 4. Who wants to go?
Sure, I'll go.
Okay, nice one.
Probably like just the gatekeeping now. That's in like metal especially, but it's like and just to see.
Sorry.
Yeah, going for like metal and rock. Yeah, go like that. Yeah, but sort of just like the whole gatekeeping aspect of it now, and it's just it just kind of annoys me a bit. It's just like it's just music. Just don't you just have fun. Like you don't need to be a dick about it. Just have fun.
What examples have you ever run into where you've experienced that? Perhaps where you've been kind of like, I really like this band, and whoever you're speaking to is turned their nose up or started to explain to you why you haven't.
And it's like, especially like on the internet and like in comment sections, when you're like, I say, oh, this band's sick and stuff. It's like, oh no, they're not. They're shocking because they're not doing this and they're not having it exactly like this. It's just like, no, it's good music, and to be honest, it's all subjective. You know, what I like is going to be different to what another person likes. It's just going to be that. Just let people live and get on with their life, and it doesn't really matter to you.
Do you think that kind of attitude changes as you get older?
I think I'd hope so. I'd hope it'd be a thing of like, I don't know really, because a lot of it comes from people that have been in the scene for longer, so I think they probably think they have more of a hold over, more of a say. But then in other ways you also get like the newer ones that come in, and because it's like this whole new thing, they're all overwhelmed. It's like, oh no, that you have to be like this, you have to be like us, kind of thing. So I don't know, it's hard to say.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. You know, I think almost everybody at one point in their lives maybe even be guilty of it without potentially even meaning to. I mean, I think back to my youth, and I used to be very judgy that people like My Chemical Romance, who I think is an awesome band these days, but now I'm 36 and I've grown up a little bit, that kind of thing, you know? So I think we're all kind of guilty of it to a degree.
Yeah, definitely.
let's go back to the album then. Obviously, new album out, debut album out. When did work on this self-titled release start? Do you remember? Or has it just been a kind of flowing thing for the last couple of years?
I think
Pretty
over
much.
a couple of years, yeah, like the first single we released for this album, Angel's Nails, that was the first song we ever jammed as myself, Jordan, and Charlie back in June 2018. So it's just been over the years, like we kind of wrote songs, and then like as Alex and Hayden came in, we did some more songs, and it's kind of like we've changed bits, we've removed bits, like we've wrote songs that are not on the album and stuff like that. And it's just kind of just been this gradual process, and then we kind of said, all right, we're going to record an album. Let's do it. Let's pick the songs that we want to do, and then we'll work on those, and then we get it recorded.
Those early written tracks compared to the more modern ones, in your own heads, did you see and notice an evolution in your playing style and stuff like that? And then did you ever worry that it might come across on the record?
I think, yeah, like there's definitely a massive change, I think, between what, like, because like throughout the whole album, I think you can tell there was an evolution within the band. Because there was, at the beginning, we were more of like a hard rock kind of like classic Iron Maiden kind of style. And then like as we like changed singers, like there's a time where we went for like a heavier approach. So like in the album there's like a heavier song, and then like as you get towards the end of it is when we started becoming more like, I wouldn't say like punky, but there's like elements of punk, classic metal, heavy metal, and all that. So it's kind of like we decided that we found more of a sound which involves all the genres that we all really like. I think all of our influences has a big impact on our sound.
Getting that balance though, I mean, has that been difficult? For all those different influences, all those different ideas floating around. I mean, when you listen to the album, you are right in regards to the influences and thoughts and ideas that are floating around. Me personally, I couldn't tell what was an early Brazen Bull track and what was that was written a week ago kind of thing. I guess that's testament to the production, maybe.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I think, if anything, that's probably helped us a bit, just because we have like all these things like bands like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, all that, with bands like Slipknot, Alter Bridge, Avenged Sevenfold. That kind of mix of early sounds and modern sounds, if you like put them together, I think that's definitely what we've kind of been going for, since we started, really.
That needs to go in your press pack in future. Influences sounds like Slipknot and Iron Maiden. And just to confuse the hell out of everyone that looks at it.
Literally.
So, what about the best part of the whole writing and recording process? What was it for you guys?
For recording, I kind of just like the environment, I guess, because that was kind of like my first time, and I had a lot of fun doing it. And Raul Crane, who produced and recorded it for us, was real cool and chill. So made it, when you have somebody like that, it makes it a lot easier to do something new. So
does that apply to all of you? Was that your first time in a professional recording studio environment?
First time in a professional one, yeah, but yeah.
That's awesome. What about then the opposite side then? What kind of difficulties? What was the most difficult part of recording process for you?
Really, the fact that we were all having to record separately due to the pandemic. So, I mean, I think Charlie was there almost every day or something like that, but otherwise it was just guitars one day, drums the first day, bass and vocals, all separately. And I think we can agree as a whole band that kind of did take something from it, that natural gel we get when we play together, which we're wanting to replicate on the next album by hopefully being able to record all together.
Well, fingers crossed that will be possible at some point this year. It's really interesting because we normally when we start talking about the effect that COVID and the virus has had on bands in regards to recording new albums, we often hear, oh no, this was written 2 years ago and recorded before, or that the changes they had to make, they were kind of like, okay, it's a bit different, but we've done the whole group thing, and it actually was nice to do something different this time. But in your case, it's been completely the opposite. You've not even had the opportunity to experience the normal way of doing things.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, 3 people gets to choose the next nomination. Jordan, Luke, Hayden, one of you goes now.
I've got one.
Yeah, man.
This might be a bit controversial, but albums that go on for too long. Honestly, it's ridiculous. Some albums feel like they're trying to put a double album on one disc. It's ridiculous, and it just seems like the attention spans of the audiences. This is another person's quote, by the way. This isn't mine, but I kind of agree with it. After a while, kind of the attention span towards it starts to go, and you start to kind of lose focus on it. So just keep it to like a certain length, so it goes on for just the right amount. That's what makes the perfect album to me. But it seems like recently, of course, with Spotify and all that stuff, people just seem to be like making the album as long as possible because they can. That's just me. I'm not going to name any examples, but it just seems to be becoming more and more regular, especially nowadays. But that's just me.
No, the timing you would bring this up is incredible. Is daily my review list, and I start going through it, and there's an album coming out in a few weeks' time. I wanted a band name, and I almost dropped my phone on the floor because it was over 2 hours long.
Seriously?
Jesus Christ.
That is insane.
Yeah, and when you're like, no, this has to be wrong. Maybe this is part like a double album. Maybe they've got some live. No, this is just what they wanted to do this time, and I have no idea how I'm going to do it. It's insane. What then, Jordan? What is a good length in your eyes when you look and you think, okay, there's 8-10 tracks? What roughly would you expect to see?
In terms of duration, well, because I am a vinyl collector, for me, when you look at the classic albums, you think of stuff like Dark Side of the Moon, $1 Billion Babies by Alice Cooper, Number of the Beast, Iron Maiden. They're all around 40 to 45 minutes long, and that's just about the right amount.
Yeah.
For me personally.
No, I agree. Again, my window, when you were talking in my head, I was thinking my window was 35 to 45. That's roughly where I like it to be.
Yeah.
And if that's 3 tracks or 10 tracks, perfect.
Yeah, so be it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. Our album lengths, I totally agree on.
Finally, someone who agrees with me.
Yeah, goodness. Right, guys, so the UK scene, right, the underground scene in particular, I don't think there's any denying it's pretty packed. It's pretty popular as well. Even though everyone's fighting for the same slice of the pie, it's very difficult to break out of it and potentially go to Europe and bigger places. What do you think you guys can do differently that might aid you rising up and out of basically local shows?
Oof.
It's a tough one, I know.
Yeah. Oh man.
I would say,
While you're thinking of that, then what do you think limits the scene, the underground scene? Because like I said, it's packed as hell with some many great bands.
it's difficult to find. Well, I say it's difficult, but there's a lot of people that it's like, oh, I haven't heard of these bands, I don't want to pay a $5, a $10. But when most of the time, if you just go, like, a lot of the best gigs that I've been to have just been like the smaller ones, just a packed, sweaty room, and then you discover a lot of bands that way. But I think a lot of people don't like, something new in a way.
How do you feel then about like the sort of fact that I don't know, this is Guns N' Roses as an example. Guns N' Roses will be like, oh sweet, we're coming back again, and it's going to be a stadium tour, and it's going to be £120, and people are happy enough to drop that and sell it out. But a fiver for a local underground band seems to be too much.
Yeah.
Like for example, when I go to like local gigs, I try and make sure that I can try and get out and see as many bands as I like. But normally, like if there's like, for example, I know a friend who's in a band, or like a friend has recommended me a band and they want to go to the gig with me, like I'm more than happy just to check out like a £5 £10 to go to this gig. So I think it's kind of like, if you put on like a free gig, then like if you go out there, you do like your first, like if you go to like a new place, for example, like go up to Manchester, and you put on a free gig, people come because it's free, and then you kind of get like the people start to see you, and then they hear you, and if they like you, then they'll kind of remember you, and then next time you go up there, you can charge, and they feel like, oh well, we heard these guys before, we'd quite like to see them again, and then you can charge them, kind of thing. I think it's kind of just getting that initial, like giving a reason for people to actually see you in a way that, whereas they may not have a reason.
It's that awkward word, isn't it? It's that exposure word. And it sucks, but it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's hard to draw a parallel between this, but when we talk to Aussie bands, Australian bands, they have a real problem in their scene when it comes to the smaller local bands, in that because the cities are spread apart and so on, you end up playing the same local venues over and over again because it costs too much to go elsewhere, and likewise, and stuff like that. And I can't help but sometimes hear that and think that does, well, obviously we're a lot more packed in and it doesn't take you long to travel to other cities, but I think it's the same problem we have, in that you guys, for example, or other local bands could do your city and play same clubs every week, but after a couple of times, people are gonna be like, well, they're here every couple of months. I don't need to go this time. Well, is it just a monetary thing, money-wise, it's that you think is likely to limit you and I guess the scene in general, being able to go, all right, we're going to go to Newcastle, we're going to go to London, we're going to go to Glasgow, stuff like that?
Huh. I never actually thought about this.
Just take the risk. Like it's because in a way, like being in a band, like obviously it's all about the passion, but at the end of the day, it's also a business. So with any business venture, you've always got to take that initial risk of like, okay, I'm going to put money into this. I may or may not get a return, but if you don't take the risk, then you're not going to get the reward.
Yeah, it's completely fair. But it would just be nice if it wasn't always the bands taking on all that risk, right? That's not, yeah.
Definitely.
I wish
would be nice.
Whoever can come up with the magic answer for how to fix this problem, because I don't see it going away anytime soon. Not with the fact that we haven't had live gigs for pretty much a year. So yeah, if one of you want to come up with that plan of how to break out of the underground scene, yeah.
I think there'll be a sort of a boom actually after this is done. I think people will be more willing to pay 5 or 10 to go see a band because they took it for granted the first time. So now that it was taken away from us for a year, I think people will be willing more to go see live music. So I guess it just depends on the band who cracks it first. So
yeah, no, I completely agree.
Takes advantage of it.
I don't know if you're seeing it as well, but we're kind of getting this influx because obviously, you know, the whole June 21st, 20th thing. I'm seeing a lot on social media, a lot of gigs now being planned and local and stuff like that. Are you?
We actually have one booked.
Where's your room? But you know.
Okay, guys. Well, we'll move on to the next nomination. Dan, we're going to come back to live shows in a little bit, but nomination number 4, and it's down to 2 of ya, Luke or Hayden.
I'll go.
Cool.
So, one thing that kind of really annoys me is like when like TV shows, when they start like losing a budget in a way, like they've become over ambitious, and then they kind of start like towards the end of the series, it kind of dies down a bit. Like I think the big one is like Walking Dead. At the beginning, it was amazing, and then it kind of like had like 1 or 2 bad seasons, and then like viewership dropped and the budget dropped, and then you can really tell that. And I think also another one is like Game of Thrones. Like,
I knew it was coming.
like obviously like the last season was like they could have at least like if they had like the time and the budget, they could have easily like split that into like 3 more seasons, and they probably could have made it a lot better. But it's just like kind of you watch it, you've like invested all this time, and then it just kind of fizzles out, and it's just a massive disappointment.
Do you find it tends to be the American side of shows that does this more?
Yeah, I do see that there's a good correlation with that. But I mean, like, I think like recently, like with like the Marvel films as well. Like now they're starting to dip into TV shows. Like WandaVision has been absolutely amazing. I haven't watched today's episode yet, but like the first 2 episodes are like, okay, what is this? And then like since then it's just been like amazing. But like that's only like going to be a short series.
Yeah.
Like it's only going to be the 1 season, which makes it short and sweet. I think a good example is The Boys. Has been what 2
Such
seasons
a good show.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
1 more season to come out, and like they've kind of said we're only having 3 seasons.
Oh.
I think it is only going to be 3 seasons. That's what I've heard, and like they've kind of like you then base the story around those 3 seasons, and you try and make them as jam-packed as possible, and like each episode feels like a movie, whereas like with something like The Walking Dead, you kind of like, okay, we're going to split it over like 20 seasons, and then like you have like filler episodes which just have no interest in all that. So I find like I think actually if you set like a season limit, like say we're going to do this many seasons, then you make it as good as possible.
Yeah, that seems to be what I thought you were getting at there. Yeah, it's the ones that are planned out that we're only going to do this many seasons, and we already have the story written, compared to, oh, we're just going to keep writing the story until, as you say, viewership drops, and that inevitably and cancellation inevitably follows.
I mean,
Has there been
The Walking Dead actually was planned to finish in season 5.
Really?
They got to Alexandria. Yeah, apparently that like they were actually planning on finishing, but then because it got so big that they actually signed on to do more seasons, and that's when it started dropping off.
You're right, man. That period, I could. It was around about that period, maybe the season after that, I just stopped watching. But yeah, that show was shit hot at that time, like super hot.
No, I've actually like kind of stuck through it, and like there's like more episodes coming out on Monday actually. And like, this is the last season they're doing, season 11, and like it dropped, but then it started picking back up recently. And because I've also like read the comics and all that, so it's kind of like they're getting to like a really good part. So I just hope they don't screw it up.
Okay, yeah. Well, if you're a Game of Thrones fans, then you would know how easily it is to screw something up royally.
Yeah.
What's your I gotta ask then, what has been your most satisfying long-term TV show that you've ever watched? You can all have a think of this if you want.
Ooh.
Satisfying. So I'm talking about beginning to end. You've come away and gone, yep, that did not let me down, barring obviously the odd episode here and there.
I'd say Always Sunny. Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I think like every season of that has just been great.
It's on my watch list because there's so many seasons, and me and my wife, we ain't got much time, so we're like, we'll get to it eventually.
Oh yeah. That's great.
Breaking Bad.
Oh,
I was going to say Breaking Bad actually.
Yeah. Man,
I've
what a
been
show.
watching Better Call Saul, and that's also good.
awesome. Were you, Jordan and Hayden? You got anyone?
Well, for me, do animated series count? Well, for me, it's the Trailer Park Boys animated series. I absolutely love it. Honestly, it seems to flow better than the actual live action episodes. And for me, it's just funny because they can do a hell of a lot more with it, and they're not just confined to, of course, what you can do in real life. Of course, when you've got a like a cartoon setup, you can do anything, and it is just hilarious.
Awesome. Were you, Hayden? One to surprise us all with?
I'm really struggling for this one, to be honest. It's actually been quite a while since I've been watching a lot of media and content like that. So, I mean, for the first month of the pandemic, I straight binged every single season I could think of with my sister, just never leaving the couch. But, you know, I kind of got sick of it, and I can't think of any, really.
No, that's fair enough. Fair enough.
I will say one thing about what Luke was saying.
Yeah.
When a season starts to trail off, you really lose any motivation to want to go back and rewatch even the start part. It's just, it's like it's a completely different film, and you remember what the episodes are like, but you forget it's that, and it's just this distant memory of a good season. But when you look at the season, all you can associate it with is the bad ending, so it just puts you off so much. But
yeah, that applies to a lot as well. Like, I mean, I know a lot of, like the show Lost, obviously is very, very popular, but a lot of people did not like the final episode, or at least the final part.
I liked it.
Big fan too, man. Big fan.
Yeah, I love that show. I used to watch it every week it would come out.
I've got the box set right in front of me on my desk up there.
There you go. Then Lost is perfect. Yep. Okay. Shows that go on too long and lose their budget as it goes. That's a nice one. Guys, then, have you been paying much attention to the reaction to what people have heard so far from Brazen Bull? Obviously, the album isn't quite out yet, but you have singles out and about. That reaction, have you been paying attention to it?
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
How have you found it?
It's been really good, actually. Like the streams on Spotify have kind of gone way beyond than we expected. Like our latest single that we released a week ago today has already hit 2,000 streams on Spotify. So it's kind of just been like, yeah, we've had people message us saying that they really like the music, and I mean, we've had a message from someone saying that they want to do like a music piece on us for their college course and stuff like that. So it's kind of been like, these last few like months when we've been releasing singles have kind of been just like, yeah, we just can't wait to get the actual album out if people enjoy these 3 songs so much. I think the album is going to be a good release.
Have you heard much back from the press side of things then in regards to the actual pre-reviews?
We've only heard one, I think.
Yeah, we've had like a couple like features and write-ups, but we think we've only had one proper review so far. Yeah.
We're getting radio play though, so that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's such an important part of it. People kind of forget how important that is these days.
Yeah.
Well, guys, tomorrow, as of the time recording, tomorrow 10 a.m. our review goes live, so we'll send it your way once it is.
Nice.
Yes, indeed. Modern band, you guys are modern, man. You are up to date, you're young, you're hip, you're down with the kids, as it were, which brings us to the burning question that every band gets asked, and it is about the pressures and demands of social media. How, as a unit, do you think as a unit you're well versed, being a modern band, to handle the pressures that come with the desire of a fan base to constantly put out content?
As someone who rarely ever posts anything on social media, apart from like reposting band stuff, it's really difficult, I'd say, because as soon as any motivation drops, it just goes so long without realizing, and it's really hard to be consistent about this stuff.
Yeah.
And kind of with Hayden on that, I don't really post much on social media either.
Like the majority of the reason I have social media is for music stuff.
Is there have you kind of like dedicated social media roles per band member, in the sense that one of you covers Facebook, one of you covers Twitter, that kind of thing? Yeah.
It's all the same member, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mainly like me and Luke that do the social media stuff most of the time. Yeah.
We have the Facebook and Instagram accounts linked up, so whenever we post something on Instagram, it straight away goes on Facebook. And whenever we get tagged in something on Facebook, we always share it about and stuff like that. But I mean, at the beginning of the lockdown, we initially did some like YouTube stuff as well, but like once you kind of like lose the motivation, it's so hard to kind of get back into it, especially with like editing and stuff like that. It takes a lot of time, and it's when you don't get like the reward of putting your time and effort in, it's so like demotivating.
So it's hard to kind of pick yourself back up from that when it happens.
Yeah, it does.
And plus, you've got to somehow navigate the all-important algorithm, be it the YouTube one or the Facebook one. Anybody got any clues how it works?
I don't even think they know how it works.
Yeah, just put as many hashtags on a post as possible and hope for the best.
Hashtags and clickbait.
The one
really
thing that does not come up is consistency. You seem like you got to be consistent and doing it regularly, because you know how it works with Facebook. You refresh your feed and it's gone. Who knows where it's gone, but it's gone.
Yeah.
Do you think it's something you can get better at? Do you think it's something you will get better at?
It's really something you have to get better at, I'd say.
Yeah,
It's no choice in it.
Especially over like the lockdowns and that, like social media has been very important. But like, I think once we start getting back to gigging and stuff like that, that's when like the motivation will come back, because like you go to shows, you then you do your set and all that, and then talk to people afterwards, and you say, "Oh, go follow us on social media," and then that's when you can like talk to people outside of gigs as well. So you have that extra connection, and that's where you have like all your updates and stuff like that. So if people really liked you, talk to them saying, "Go follow social media," then that's where they'll be able to see where you update stuff and where you say, "Oh, we've got this gig coming on, we've got this line of merch coming out," and stuff like that.
What about during the kind of, I guess, the last year and so on, even though you weren't able to be together most of the time, did you ever have any interest or intrigue about potentially doing something streaming wise? Because obviously live streams, be it Facebook live stuff compared to, I don't know, full production shows, have been the rage for the last year. Was there ever any interest on your front?
We did one when I initially joined. I wouldn't say it kind of was below our expectations, I guess, because we did have an interface and that ended up not working. We were having technical difficulties and we were trying to work that like 2 hours before we started, and then we ended up just using a phone.
Yeah, I mean, it went all right, to be honest, didn't it? Like,
yeah, I think it went all right.
It's a good laugh. Yeah, we got someone offered to manage us afterwards, like just from us on a little phone, but
Wow, okay. Did you take them up on their offer?
Nah. They weren't. Yeah, they were a right person, but they weren't really the best, and they wanted to change things that we did not really want to be changed, but we will not go any further into that.
Oh, I completely understand. No, let's go. Right, last nomination then, before we get Eden, it's you. You're it.
Oh man, this has come up for me again. What is it? Anything from the video game, horror, or rock or metal world that grinds your gears. Well, I'm not a fan of horror. Well, I don't consume horror media particularly. I'm not much of a gamer. I literally only play 1 or 2 games consistently, multiple hours a day, every single day, but you know, only 1 or 2. Rock and metal, what would I say? Actually, no, I will go to video games.
Okay.
It's really the way that video games have been going. It's been consistently going in a way which has been more on monetizations and making them visually and basically cinematically better. But it's been greatly at the cost of the story and replayability, I would say. A lot of games, they're only play once, toss it aside, go to the next thing. There's nothing that really makes you want to go back over and over again playing the same thing, which, because I mainly play MMO RPGs, that's what they're all about. But throughout that genre, there's nothing being new or innovative, so we're just stuck there, really. You know, I don't know what point I'm trying to make here, but just it's been, video games as a business have innovated, but not as an art. I was really what I'm trying to say, and it's a shame.
I do understand what you're trying to say. There used to be massive leaps and bounds within innovation in the gaming systems and world and all that. For the last decade, arguably, it's been baby steps forward, baby steps. Okay, well, this game's going to look prettier because it's going to have more frame rate and better frame rate and stuff like that. But innovative ideas. I mean, I'm trying to think what the last one where we might have been like, oh wow, we hadn't seen that before. Open world stuff. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely got larger of open worlds, which has been definitely interesting and a fun experience to have, really. I mean, especially with like the new Assassin's Creed games as well. But yeah, I don't know what to say.
If I could chime in, I think horror games have actually been kind of taking that, because with like the Amnesia series when that came out, like it was like straight up survival, like running and hiding kind of. And then Silent Hills PT came out,
of course.
and I think that man, to me, that was innovative, because man, that was fucking scary.
We had such a long period where horror games were almost a dirty word, and Resident Evil and Silent Hill and Dead Space and all of them had gone off in an action orientated way.
Yeah.
And it seemed like PT kind of revived. It does. I know what you're saying. At least on the indie front, there are some, but then it's still kind of like it all amounts to the same things: first-person jump scares. And as a huge horror movie fan, that shit drives me nuts after a while.
Well, I think Silent Hills was headed in the right direction until they axed it, but I think VR games actually might be.
Yeah, I was gonna say VR.
As the technology develops more, I would say VR is probably going to be the way to go.
Do you think it will actually be? Because at the moment it's still kind of stuck in the whole novelty, a bit of a novelty.
I think it's still in its infancy. I think given maybe like the next 5 to 10 years, it'll be awesome.
Definitely
I'm looking forward to it.
popularized.
Yeah.
Because like with PlayStation releasing their own VR headset, and I think like Xbox are in the works of doing one, and like they're now becoming more. They're starting to make them wireless and stuff like that. So I think like probably in like the next 10 years you would see them become more more accessible to everyone, and then we start seeing more games like Outlast when that first came out. Like that was classed as like one of the scariest games, and like having another experience like that where it's just you and a camcorder rather than just shoot and kill.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never tried VR. I presume you have, yeah?
I've tried it. Yeah, I played Resident Evil 7 on it.
Oh, cool.
That was scary.
All right, guys, got a few more for you before we disappear for the night. March 5th, 2021, of course, is the release date for Brazen Bull's self-titled debut album. We are now in the home stretch. I am going to make the presumption that you are just desperate to get this out. Or are you still kind of enjoying the ride that comes with this very long build period?
Nope, get it out there.
Get it out.
My body is ready. Just do it.
It's like I think we've all wanted to release it just like literally since we got the songs back from the studios. We're like, no, like after the annoying one, just like, no, we have to do this, we have to do this, and I think everyone's just no, we just want it out.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Are you kind of musically ready to move on, or have you already moved on?
Yeah, I think we've already started writing a few ideas.
Easier.
They won't come alive until we're all together again.
Of course. That's cool. What about plans then for the remainder of 2021? Things you would and hopefully have in the work. Stuff you can discuss, obviously. If you can't, we won't discuss it. I know how this goes. Obviously, with the possibility of live shows later in the year. Is that something you're kind of desperately interested in doing, getting out there and playing this music live? Or is it a matter of meeting up when you can and instead working on new music? Or both?
Both. I think we just can't wait till we can gig. Like any opportunity to gig, we'll take it, because this last year, like I think someone mentioned before, like we've taken for granted doing gigs, and now we've realised what it's like not to do a gig for a whole year. Like, I mean, March 6th, day after our album, it marks the 1 year anniversary since we did our last gig. And that kind of just makes me feel like we used to like do gigs. There was a point where we were doing like gigs like nearly every week, and it kind of became like now it's just like we haven't done anything in so long that we just can't wait to get out there. Especially with like our new lineup, we really want to we really believe we can start building a fan base and just putting on some hella shows.
You think you might have some anxiety when the opportunity first gets back on that, to get back on that stage?
Nah.
I think there will be some build up.
Do you have anything in the works for 2021 yet?
It's 2021 this year. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that part of the year. Let's go with the idea that from June the 21st, everything is open and everyone's rocking out. Anything in the works yet, or is it still all just wait and see?
We've got one gig booked at the moment for that's like May the 22nd. So that's like a socially distanced one in Ipswich.
It's going to be socially distanced, yeah?
Yeah. So that's being put on by Dead Soul Promotions in Ipswich. But just trying to get any opportunity we can. Maybe putting on a couple of our own, but who knows? Really, we're just gonna have to try and just hope for the best.
It's
like everyone.
Watch this space as always, right?
Definitely.
So this socially distanced show, how do you feel about that? Because people are varying views in it. Now, I mean, I in October last year went to one show and it was a social distance one, and it was a black metal band, so it was quite freaky to be in that experience. What's your thoughts on it?
Oh man, it's gonna be weird.
It's gonna be odd. Like you, especially like comparing it to our last gig where it was just like the entire show. There was a mosh pit at the front. Going to everyone has to sit separately at their tables now. But
can't really tell everybody to tear this pit up now.
Get to the front.
In a restaurant.
It's just that I can't put myself in the shoes of you guys on stage, and your song ends, and what should be quite a hyperactive moment just gets that whole. People are sitting at a table and happy, but it is effectively a round of applause.
I mean, this would be fine if we were a prog band, but you know, we're not quite there yet.
I'm sure it'll be. You know what? Here's the thing. I'm sure it'll be weird leading up to it. The moment you're on the stage, just to be back on the stage, regardless, will be such an incredible moment that, and even for people watching.
Oh
yeah.
Great. So last but not least, guys, then, what's a realistic goal that you would like to see Brazen Bull accomplish, let's say by the end of this year?
Probably just more gigs. Maybe just like
more gigs, just
a handful of gigs, really.
Sort of keep growing, I suppose. Yeah. It's kind of,
Just keep fan base. That's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Be able to sell out a few like local venues which are close to our hearts. Being able to like sell those out would mean a lot to us. So just being able to focus and try and get to the fan base where we can do that, and then years on that we expand, bigger venues, bigger targets, bigger goals.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Guys, that's it. We're all done. It does take a little while to get through it, but we're all wrapped up. Thank you for taking the time to do this with me.
No, thanks for having us, Carl. Yeah.
Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?